South Australia I was born. Hey, away to haul away. South Australia round Cape Horn. Bound for South Australia.
These sailors won't make South Australia on this tack. Their trip will take them a few miles offshore of Lewis, Delaware. A short voyage by distance, but a long one in time. This is the tall ship Kalmar Nyckel, a replica of the first ship to bring European settlers into Delaware. The Kalmar Nyckel is the official tall ship of the state of Delaware and a combination floating museum, school, and roving goodwill ambassador, transporting delighted passengers back to the 17th century.
Now, assuming it does get breezy, the ship is going to start to heel. This is okay. No one needs to come and tell me about that.
Captain David Hiott is the master of the Kalmar Nyckel. He's been so since the current Kalmar Nyckel was launched 7 years ago.
What we know a lot about ships of this type in this time. We know how the decks were laid out, we know the equipment, we know all the belaying furniture, we know all the lines in the rigging.
The sails, rigging, and steering mechanisms are the same as in their nearly 400-year-old ancestor. The interior of the ship, however, is equipped with an engine, modern navigation gear, and all the safety equipment needed to be certified as a passenger-carrying craft by the U.S. Coast Guard. The Kalmar Nyckel does on occasion use these modern conveniences to enter and exit its ports of call, but once underway, power converts to the tried and true method, the wind.
Hands about ship.
On the forepart,
Mizzen.
Brooks, if you take the sheets.
Hands to the mizzen. Well, the original ship came to this country to bring 24 soldiers who were contracted to begin a settlement for the fur trade on the river we now call Christina in what is now Wilmington.
Jim and Carol Kelly have a special connection with the Kalmar Nyckel.
Four of my ancestors came over from Sweden in 1641. That would have been the third trip. It was a family with Olaf Style, his wife, his daughter Ella, and his son Anders. They were on the Kalmar Nyckel.
The Kalmar Nyckel is called a pinnace, a medium-sized Dutch warship 93 feet long from stem to stern, 141 foot including the spar, and it displaces almost 300 tons. Her main mast is taller than a 10-story building, and she carries 7,600 square feet of sail and 6 miles of rigging.
Now everything from about this size up were all full rig ships at this time. It had square sails on all the masts. They also had a fighting top, that's the crow's nest, but really called the fighting top, out on the end of the bowsprit, and it had a topmast above it with a square top sail. So of all the ships in this country, actually in the world, there's only a couple in Europe, and we are the only one in this country, in the Western Hemisphere, that has the fighting top and the sprit topsail. So this ship was fairly well evolved. Big square main course, mainsail, and above it a main topsail in the main top. And then this would have also had a flying top gallant on the main. The mizzen is different. The mizzen has a fore and aft triangle, which in the Northern Europe they called the Latin or Latin type sail. The forecourse is horsepower. The main topsail is the biggest sail on the ship, and it's a lot of horsepower. It's like 30% of the sail plan in one sail out of 8. The main course we didn't set, and the reason we do it like we do it has to do with the strength of the wind, the comfort of the passengers. Let me watch this, folks. If that cloud starts blowing down on us, we'll be in scramble mode quick. We have a very large flag staff. People comment on how big the flag is on this ship. This is correct for this period. If you look at all that artwork, they all have positively huge flags.
An attentive eye will notice something missing on the Kalmar Nyckel. something quite evident on most ships. It lacks a steering wheel. Steering wheels on ships did not come into common use until the 1680s.
And this ship was built in 1625. So we have what all ships had at that point, and that is called a whipstaff in English. The Dutch apparently called it a silly stick.
The helm is on the main deck, and the helmsman has practically no view of the exterior of the ship. The captain or mate stands above on the quarterdeck and shouts orders to the crewmen below. Although primarily a transport, she was capable of defending herself.
These are new guns, they're sleeved, and they are iron. The large gun is 1,400-pound tube, 81 inches long. I love them. They're beautiful. They put out quite a racket too, with just the right amount of powder.
So they work?
Oh yes. On our guns is the seal of the King of Sweden, and it was sent to us from the Vasa Museum and copied by our chief carver into a relief that could be pressed into the mold for casting these guns. The other gun up there is a bronze piece. It is a Spanish colonial from the Philippines, and it is probably older than the original Kalmar Nyckel.
It was grueling physical work sailing the original Kalmar Nyckel, and that has not changed. The sails and rigging are operated entirely by hand. The only mechanical devices are the same types of winches and pulleys that were found on the original vessel. So the crew encourages passenger participation. Actually, it's mandatory that passengers either heave the line or cheer on those who do.
Come on, come on. Now remember, if you're not pulling, you have to sing, right? You don't have to sing in tune, you just have to sing loud.
When do we say yar?
Or anytime you want.
Captain Hiott, along with Chief Mate Jesse Schaefer, oversee the all-volunteer crew.
My baby sister.
Volunteers must take an in-depth training course in order to sail the Kalmar Nyckel.
It's an 8-chapter curriculum. I have a couple of real school teachers who do lesson plans out of the curriculum, and the chief mate who has a lot of experience practice teaching, also teaching sailors. And between us, we teach all these people, and we get them from all walks of life.
Like the passengers, the volunteer crew comes from all walks of life. Their common bond, a love of the ancient art and science of sailing. Not only is the ship manned by volunteers, it's manned by a different set of volunteers every day.
He's panicking.
Consequently, things don't always work out the way they're planned. But Captain Hiott takes it in stride.
But that's what I get the biggest kick out of, is teaching people how to do this. And getting them to work together and seeing the light go on, you know, and go, that's how it works.